Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Guts Pack. Last episode, what we did is we installed a couple of turbines and hooked that up to energy. Now, I said at the end of that episode I was gonna do transformers and stuff next episode. This is the next episode, but I've decided to go ahead and do that off camera, as well as a bunch of other crafting and stuff, so that we can take a little step back from staring at a crafting table for a couple of episodes, or probably just this episode to be honest, and actually do some in-world building and hooking up. So, along with the basic steam turbines of last episode, we now have this low voltage battery buffer with 4 in it. You'll remember that 4 batteries means 4 amperes. And that outputs into a low voltage transformer, which on the underneath there is a different symbol, and I can't show it to you. Maybe I can if I dig down here. You'll see there's that crazy symbol underneath there, and it's red. Red means output, on this texture pack anyway. Red means output, green means input. So it's inputting low voltage, 4 packets at a time, for a total of 128 volts, travelling down this copper cable, which is losing 2 volts per meter, but in the end you actually end up losing a lot less over distance. And it comes all the way down here, and you'll see that the small symbol is now red. That's because it's changed output and the tin cable has continued doing its job. So this is our very first distance wire. And I have made sure that that's set up. We're going to have to build a couple of transformers. I haven't left all of the building out, just a lot of it. You'll see also in my inventory I have basic forge hammer and basic electric oven and 4 chests and a bunch of brass item pipe. Yes, I got a lot of zinc. It took a long time. The basic forge hammer goes 1, 2, 3 here, and the ovens go 1, 2, 3 here, here, and here. Now this says electric oven. This is no different than electric furnace. It literally is just a different looking furnace. If we look at furnace, or maybe I should put in basic furnace, it might help things. Or not. No, you're not going to be okay with that. You'll see here that you've got your basic electric furnaces and stuff, but then down here you've got these ones with the coils on top. I don't know whether you can see it at 720p. But it says here in the tooltip, just a furnace with a different design, and that is absolutely true. These are just furnaces. They just look cool. So, we need to get all this macerated goods into here. That's easy. I've got my nearly broken wrench with me. Those need to change to that. And these need to change to something like that for now. We'll think about how to do that soon. And we also need an input, and the way that I was going to do the input is along the back here, which creates a problem. And I'll show you what that problem is. And we have fixed this problem before. Just like that, and hook them up. And then the the inputs will travel along. Now, I've only accounted for enough brass piping for doing this right now, but eventually that will go up and along and down to a chest where we put our inputs. The problem is this. Right, it's joined, so we need some sort of plate or something to deal with that. And I have some brass plate in here, spare. Not enough for some pipes, but definitely enough to separate these. So we just do that, like this. Have our lovely yellow brass separating everything. And then we can just continue on out like this. Where you go into the back, and you two connect like that. You'll notice that these all connect, and they potentially at this point can flow straight back into these machines, but we're going to deal with that with shutters. which I told you about last episode, because shutters work for items, not just liquid. Then, this is the tricky bit. Because Greg Tech does not actually have round robin, we need a way to create our own round robin, and this is why, finally, after a couple of episodes, I get around to explaining this whole setup. This entire thing was built, mind you, there is a couple of things that I did to just have a little bit of fun experimenting in the meantime, but this whole thing was built specifically so I could make these microcontrollers. This is a microcontroller case with a transposer with memory, a central processing unit, and a round robin EEPROM. An EEPROM is like a tiny hard drive. It has a fixed amount of memory and it cannot be changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to boot up this computer, because I need to flash this with a new program since the one that I was using was broken. And let's just check that everything is in order. So I'm going to be editing the code here. Don't worry about anything that's in here, and all credit goes to Vexitos, because I wrote the program once and it was pretty bad because I'm not very good at Lua. And he cleaned it up for me, and then I've added a different thing here to make sure that it is able to check whether an inventory is empty before it keeps going in its process, and I'll explain what it's going to do once we've actually got it hooked up. But on camera I thought I would do this, because when you're making an EEPROM, do not leave your debug comments in. The debug stuff that you put in will not be accepted, because EEPROMs cannot print, because microcontrollers cannot have a screen. So I think that is it, with those two prints removed. Yes, and it is set to the correct component proxy. You'll see that there's these two things up here. One is used by the microcontrollers because it is the raw input. The other one is require component, which is something that the operating system that is running this computer program on open computers uses. Now, if none of that made any sense, that's okay. That's quite okay. So we're just going to save this and quit. And then I'm going to swap this for that. This one is the Lua BIOS, and you need that for the computer to actually start up. But once it's once it has start up, it's fine. Round robin. So this is flashing to the little EEPROM. I do not want the label changed. And now I can insert the old one. Okay, so we have our round robin EEPROM freshly flashed. We need to put it in here and then build. And fingers crossed that I did everything right, because if we don't, we have to stick it in the disassembly, get it disassembled, reflash the ROM with the correct thing on it, and then see if it works. So I'll be back. Okay, I return after assembling the microcontroller. Here it is in my inventory. And I've set up a little test. This is 3 chests just to show you that, well, hopefully it works. I'm going to put the microcontroller here. It's awkward placement because this needs to receive power. And this is the lazy way of doing it. But first test, does it even run? Yes, it runs. No beeps or boops or complaints from the machine. It is currently running. Let's put some dirt in here. The dirt is being moved, and it is split evenly between the 2 chests. Brilliant. That is so cool. And now, just to make things last longer, I'm going to sleep. Ill-timed demonstrations. Anyway, let's take these chests. You're going to complain about something. I don't know what you're complaining about. Maybe it lost its input chest and that's why it's complaining. That's fine. You don't need an input chest where you're going. Well, it actually really does. So, let's go across here. this is where things get tricky. We need a chest here, which was already there, a microcontroller there, chest here, a chest here, and a chest here. Now, if I can't turn you on because it doesn't have power, it can be powered though by Greg Tech cables, and we will do that. But then if I put that dirt in there, it should evenly transfer between the three. Now, just for a little bit of story time, when I originally wrote this round robin program, Invexitos helped me, it didn't check this inventory to see if there was items in it. So what would happen is these would all just, it would just constantly cycle between trying to put things in the three chests, constantly, even when it was empty. So while these things are pretty slow and put things in the hammer and the hammer outputs into it, it wasn't outputting things consistently, so it wasn't consistently putting things in the chest evenly. And in fact, it would be this chest that would get most of it, because more often than not, items would arrive in this chest when this thing had hit about a 3 or a 4 in its cycle, and it goes through 5. It goes through left, right, forward, down, and up. So it would hit a 4 or a 5 and things would end up in this chest more often than not. So what I had to do was I added to the code a check to see, before it even keeps continuing to try and round robin things, is there anything in the chest at all? If there's not, don't do anything. If there is, do a round robin. Now that still isn't perfect, because that would now mean that this one is the one that gets front loaded if things are running kind of slow. But that's also okay. The only way we would be able to fix that completely is by also including these 3 furnaces and asking this thing, is there anything in these furnaces? If there's something in this one, then put it in this one. If there's nothing in if there's something in this one, put it in this one. And, well, actually it would be more like, is the contents of this one greater than this one? If it is greater than this one, put something in this one. Is the contents in this one less than the contents of this one? If yes, put it in this one. You know, like that. So that's the only real way we can really fix that, and I'm not going to go to those lengths. So it's still a little bit blind, but it's better than what I originally had planned out. So now we need to lay out the brass pipes. 1, 2, that's you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how are we going to get things out of the chests? That's a whole different story, and I don't think we've used that yet. No. Well, much like there is the pumps, there is conveyors, and we've used them in the, it's also not conveyors, it's conveyor, or I've just spelled it wrong. There we go. We used it in creating the assembly machine, if you remember. But they are actually something that you can put in-world, like pumps, covers, shutters, drains, all that sort of thing. And they pull items out of things and put them into other things. So we're going to have to make a bunch, or 3 in particular, 3 conveyors. Why we don't have to do it for these is because these have auto item output, and that's what that red box is on the side of the machine. That's the output for the machine, if it's going to be auto outputting anything at all. So those are set. You are set, I believe. Yes. So auto output into there. This auto outputs into those 4 chests, but then the 3 chests, sorry. But then the 3 chests need some way to be emptied, and that's why we're going to create conveyors. The other thing we need to do is create a transformer to hook up these machines here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. We could hook them up over here, but then we have the same problem of bringing things back this way, wasting power. So we're going to stick another transformer there and then hook things up from there. It's just a tiny bit more efficient. The problem is I'm completely out of steel, and we need steel if we're going to make any of this, including the conveyors. So what I'll do is I'm just going to cut here, and I'll be back once I have a whole bunch of steel. See you soon. Okay, I'm back and I have bits and pieces. One thing I wanted to do, because I haven't shown it on camera yet, is show you how we put rubber around a copper wire. The reason why we have to use that copper wire instead of the IC2 copper wire that we've been using this whole time is because IC2 cables are not compatible with GregTech. So it has to be a GregTech copper wire with rubber around it. And so the way that we get rubber around that is we need to put that there and that there. No, the other way around. And we get this configured for 24 rather than 1. And we put that plus the wire in the assembling machine. And we put rubber in a fluid extractor, which turns it back into molten rubber. And then that goes and turns into a copper cable. Now that would be the way that you reduce the rubber requirement of GregTech copper cables down to 1 bar to 1 wire, because you'll remember if we want to craft this in inventory, excuse me, oh yeah, if there was no in inventory, the way we had to do it before we had an assembler was the alloy smelter, which is 2 rubber and 1 copper, which is nasty. But now we can do 1 to 1, but it's still faster just to use IC2 for the integrated circuits. Sorry, the electronic circuits. Just because we can do it in inventory if we're doing it manually. If we want to set up something later on though, we can do it that way. No, that's the wrong one. How do I get you back? There we go. Now that's one configuration. We could just make another integrated circuit really and keep it around, but this way it's just easier for me to change it on the fly. So now we have a copper cable and a whole bunch of tin cable. Why do we have that? Well, we're going to need 6 electric motors, which I prepared all the resources for, and then we need tin cable between that and a bunch of rubber sheets, and we go 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of those, and then we take this LV machine hull, which I prepared earlier, copper cable, and the last 4 tin cables, and we get a low voltage transformer. So now we have our 3 conveyor modules and our low voltage transformer. Awesome. And I think in here, this is the chest I've been using to dump out my inventory whenever I need to go over to the farms, because I've been needing to go over there regularly for candleberries, for auto, for steel. And I'll show you how that works at some point. So a conveyor there, a conveyor there, and a conveyor here. Now let's go get our screwdriver and make sure those are all set correctly. We want you to import, we want you to import, and we want you to import. And here we want to step down, so I do want to make it face that direction, which is going to input that and output that, just like this one. Cool. So now I need to get, oh, I didn't even grab them out of that chest. I need to get, oh yes I did. That was weird. Don't know why I brain farted then, but there you go. We need to run you. Oh, this shovel is too good. Tears up everything I don't want it to. We want to run you like this. No, maybe we don't. Oh god, now I need the other tool. Remember, you won't get that wire back unless you use wire cutters. I wasn't planning on making a mistake, so I didn't have it in my inventory. Always plan to make mistakes, I think, is the proper way to do that. So we'll put that there, and then that will link up there, and we'll put that there, which links up our friend the... who's it, what's it? You know, that guy. The microcontroller. And we can turn that on now. And it will fluctuate between using power and not using power. That thing, we can just turn it off when it's not in use. Maybe we can have a redstone signal coming in there. I'd need to change the code for that. But that's okay. We can just flash that ROM whenever we want to change things or improve things. So speaking of which, if you have any fancy ideas of how we can improve that particular program, go ahead and let me know. Because some of you are probably much smarter than me and probably thought of something that I didn't. So let's go like this and like this, and now everything has power, which means let's go do a test run on something. We'll use a piece of crushed tin ore. No, we need full ore. Now remember that this line is a very specific line. This line is only for items which need to be macerated, crushed, and then furnaced, which is not every ore in GregTech, but it is copper, tin, and iron, which are the main three we're using right now, as well as a couple of others, like cobalt, which is good for tools and stuff. You can see my wire cutters and my axe are made of cobalt. So we've put some pyrite ore in here. I forgot to put the shutters here, so we'll have to cross our fingers that it gets to the right input. Otherwise it might land in one of these machines. Go, go! You can do it. Bam. Output went into the hammer. And... oh. You landed in here? Yes, you did. Oh, I didn't turn you on. So now, 2 furnaces should turn on. There we go. So it works perfectly. Awesome. Haha. And then we have 2 iron ingots. Hooray. So that's all working fine. What we do need to do is we really do need to get those shutters, because we were very lucky then that it actually went to the forge hammer instead of back into one of the other macerators. So I'll just sleep. And as well, much like fluids, things will bounce around in pipes if given the chance, so making some more shutters is a good idea. And I haven't shown you how to make shutters on camera yet, so it'll be a good little thing to do. We need 6 for the door and another 6 for the recipe. And then we need to turn them into plates. So it's 12 per set of iron doors that you're going to make, and you'll see why. I say set of iron doors. 4, 5, and 6. Now we can leave it to do its thing. Come over here. Construct that like you would an iron door out of ingots, but use a hammer and you get 3 iron doors. So that's why it's 2 per iron door, and that's why we have 6. And then our assembly machine, 6 and 3, and that will make some shutters. So I'm going to just step away for a moment, and I'll be back once the shutters are done. Okay, I'm back. I have 6 shutters. In the meantime, I made things a little prettier. We will put the smooth stone back in. I'm thinking about changing the floor anyway from smooth stone at some point, but as you can see, the building isn't exactly in a good condition at the moment. So really, all we want to do is we want to turn this center piece of pipe here, which is actually really hard to get to thanks to Greg and his full block sized, not actually full sized things, but we will make do. We want a shutter there, we want a shutter here, and we want a shutter here. And can I get out of here? I don't think I can. Save me dirt. Here we go. So we want to turn you into only input allowed. Remember, if it's on the block and you want to let things in, it needs to be changed to input. Input, and you need to be changed to input. Now things won't bounce around because they only have linear paths. Things might try and bounce into there. I'm actually not entirely sure whether a machine's output face will let things in through their output face, but I don't actually think so. So I think things will basically just come out of the machine, go down here, through here, and out there, because that's the only way it's allowed to go. It's not allowed to go up here, it's not allowed to go up there. So everything should flow correctly now. And that will actually, I think, finish this build apart from tidying it up, so why don't we do that? I need some smooth stone. Let's run down this way. I think there's some in this chest. Yes. Lazy. So, let's do that. That. I will need one more conveyor. I've just realised I've forgotten something. Dang it. You get there. Right. Cool. So, everything's closed up. Everything is ready for action. This thing has been turned off because it constantly eats RF. We need this thing working. That's why we need one more conveyor. And I think for now what I'll do is I will stick one more brass item pipe here. And it can live right there. And let's get 8 wood from here. Boop. And there's one more chest. This place is Chest City. So that's our input chest for now. But I'll need one more conveyor for there. So, let's give a fake demonstration, because of course I'm not going to go ahead and make that chest right now. I mean that conveyor. What can we put through the old banded iron can go, and oh, there's got to be something left here. Iron ore. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we should start hearing the hammer going off. Oh, I need to turn you on. And things are being moved. Are they? Oh, they're still on. Oh, it was just taking its sweet time to pull out of here. Because if we look at a conveyor, it is one stack every 20 seconds. It's kind of terrible, but good at the same time, because it means that this can do its job. Cool. So in here we have copper, and in here we have copper, and that wanted to do some work. Yeah, we're also going to need to set up auto output on these things, which I'll use these sides for. And we'll just have some pipes coming up and across and down or something like that. I'm not entirely sure right now, because the cables are under there, so it has to either go back, forward, or up. And I don't want to move the things to the top, because that's the entire reason I made the ovens, because I like the tops. I mean, I guess I could sacrifice the tops. Reach. Yes, it does allow me to use the top. So it could be like that, and then just have the brass tube going across, and then have like the output chest here. Yes, people were using my steel. It was very annoying. Because the steel is needed elsewhere right now. How much tubes do I have, actually? I have 3, which is enough to make the point work with these. Give me that. Give me that. I mean, it's ugly right now, but if we do output, output, turn you on to auto output as well. And eventually these things will figure out they have stuff in their inventory and pop them out. Although I think Greg Tech machines are a little bit stupid. No, there it goes. Okay, great. So the other one should follow suit soon. Here we go. Cool. So those will now auto clear as well. We have a working array. We need some more brass item pipes, a lot more zinc. Zinc is such a pain, but then we'll have everything hooked up correctly. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.